Evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's live. Let's see who we have on before we get started here. If you're popping on live now, just come into the chat and say hi. Let me know where you're from. Come in terms of location, but just drop your comment into the chat. And throughout the whole of this presentation, I want you to ask questions whenever you want, not a problem. If I see them pop up in the chat, I'll answer them. If I'm in the middle of something, I'll hold on to that comment, that question, and then get to it as soon as I possibly can. But this is what we're looking at today. Gents and gents, how to build muscle, burn body fat, optimize your hormones, and feel fucking fantastic as you get older. And the key is to feel fucking fantastic as you get older, because without that, everything else is useless. We always want to be feeling good. Build a little bit of muscle, great. Burn body fat, lose weight, fantastic. Optimize your hormones, amazing. But if you don't feel good at the same time, there's no point. So that's going to be our topic tonight. And I'm going to take you through step by step what I do with my clients on my 12-week program. We call that the fat loss code. And there's 5 main areas that we're going to look at. But before we get into the good stuff, I want to see who's coming on live. Who else is going to join us? If you're on and you can see me, let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know that the microphone's picking up. The sound quality is fine. And if you're there, drop your name in the chat. Come into the chat, say hi. If you've got any questions, I can see a few of you coming on now, but just let me know that you're there and that you can hear everything. I can see 4 or 5 of you on live now, but please do say hi before we get into the good stuff. All right. This is what we're going to be covering. The fat loss code. I'm going to break it down into 5 main areas. Okay, these are the 5 main areas that I cover in my 12-week program. The setting the foundations, and we're going to look at calories and training. Then we're going to look at strong mind and the psychological aspects of everything. Oh, hi Tim. Hello mate. Good to see you there. Then we're going to look at sleep, and we're going to look at stress management, and the 5th and final very important piece is sex and testosterone. Now, we could spend hours on individually on every single one of those. We're going to try and condense all this into 45 minutes. It's going to be a 45-minute training. We're going to cover a brief overview of some of those things and how they piece together, and how I work with my clients on helping them lose, on average, and I don't just say this, genuinely on average, 27 pounds of body fat in 12 weeks. Okay, right, anyone else? Tim, can you hear me okay? Let me know. Let me know you can hear me okay. Tim, you there? All right, I'm going to crack on, guys. Okay, cool. Tim's there. We can hear me okay. So look, guys, if you're not sure if this presentation is for you, let me know if you resonate with any of these things. If you're a gent and you want to lose 20 pounds or more, if you want to be a great role model for your kids, if you want to feel great with high energy, you want to have great sex with your partner, and you want to not be the fat dad in the park, that's very important. You're in the right place. If you're any of those or all of them, you're in the right place. Maybe your career's going well, but you're in a rut with your health. And maybe you've tried many things before. Most of my clients come into my program, they've tried many, many things before, but self-sabotage stops them in their tracks, stops them achieving the results they really, really want. Maybe you start off highly motivated, but fall off, and you wonder why haven't got that discipline, why you think motivation is what you need when it's actually discipline. And maybe you've had a health scare, and this is a wake-up call, and you want to fit back into those handmade suits. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to fit back into those handmade suits. So if you're any of those things, you're in the right place. But look, why do you want to listen to me? There's loads of guys out there doing what I'm doing. There's loads of coaches. There's loads of people saying they've got the best system. There's loads of people that think they're the guru and they know exactly what's working and they know how to get great results. And you know what? There's loads of people getting great results. Okay. But the difference between what I do and what many other clients or other coaches do is that I won't give you any bullshit. We're going to get some serious results, but we're also going to have fun. Okay, because life is too short not to have fun. I'm all about having fun, but getting great results at the same time. But a little bit of background on me. If you're not sure who I am, I'm sure some of you are. You've seen my videos on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and it's going out to a few platforms. But if you're new to me, new to my platforms and everything on social media, a little bit about me. I did a degree in sports and exercise science back in '93. I'm showing my age now. I know I look about 27, but I'm actually close to 50. Exercise sports science, graduated in '96, and then I had a complete change of career. I went from sport into entertaining, and I put that in inverted commas because you can find out what I did. I'm not going to go into that, but from '96 to 2008, a full-time profession, gallivanting all over Europe on stage, one form or another. You can find out the details in there. Then I decided to get serious. I said, you know what, I can't keep doing this. I need to start earning a living. I need to use my brain instead of everything else. And then from 2008 to 2018, I was a full-time personal trainer in London City, training bankers, finance guys and girls. 10 years full-time PT, racked up about 40,000 hours of personal training with thousands of clients over those 10 years. And then in 2018, I decided to move from one-to-one personal training into the coaching and what I'm doing now. And in those last 4 years, I've coached over 250 men, had great success. I'm a certified sports nutritionist. I did my qualification post-grad, which is like half a master's, with the ISSN, which is International Society of Sports Nutrition. I've written and been featured in Men's Health, Men's Fitness, Hello, OK, don't hold it against me, and the Times, and I'm a published author. My book came out 2019, The GHG Method, sold thousands of copies. So look, enough of that. That's who I am. Let's go back to this slide. All right, the fat loss code. The areas we're going to cover tonight. This is the good stuff. 1, setting the foundations. Strong mind, sleep, stress management, sex, and testosterone. Okay, so let's start with the foundations. Now, there's 2 parts of setting the foundations, and this is true for anything in life. If you think about this, without the foundations, without that foundation of anything, it's like a house of cards. So we have to build on this. Now, you can look at sleep and stress and sex and testosterone and the psychology of everything. Without the foundation, everything else is almost useless. And we're going to start with a simple thing. We have to control your calories. You have to be in a calorie deficit. Okay? Calorie deficit is where you're taking in or you're burning more calories than you consume. Here we are. You eat fewer calories than you burn, or you burn more calories than you consume. So fat loss is simply staying there for as long as you can whilst maintaining every other area of your life. Okay? So without this, guys, nothing else will work. You see so many people focusing on going to the gym, going for a run, doing exercise classes, working on their sleep, reducing their stress. That's all amazing, but it won't move the needle forward unless you're controlling your calories. Now, I want you to look at your calories like you would a budget, like you would finances. And it's a funny thing with tracking calories, because lots of people track their finances. And if you think about every area of your life that you've got some type of success, and every area of your life where you're not getting this success, you tend to be tracking the metrics on some level, whether it's conscious or subconscious. You tend to track the things that get tracked. That's where you gain success. Finances, everyone says no problem controlling what they've got going into their bank, or at least recording what they've got coming in, and they know what's going out within reason. If you don't, you get in debt, you're in all types of trouble. But when it comes to diet and nutrition, lots of people think, oh, I don't want to track calories, it's too anal, or I just want to do this, on my own, or intuitively, as a lot of people say. Unfortunately, intuitive eating is what gets people in trouble. Okay, or not knowing or not understanding nutrition. So I want you to look at your calories like you would your income. Income comes into your bank, you can track that against your outgoings. Now, the aim for most people's finance is to have a little bit of money left at the end of the month after they've paid all their bills. Okay, now we're going to flip that round. We want to be burning more than you're taking in. And it really is a simple equation. And guess what? It only works 100% of the time. It only works 100% of the time. If you burn more than you take in, you will lose weight. That is guaranteed. And people say, well, you know, I was in a calorie deficit, I was watching my food and I was training hard and I'm not losing weight. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. It really is that simple. Now, don't confuse simple with being easy. Something can be very, very simple, as in the skill set needed to do this is very, very simple. But the mindset behind that is very, very tricky. And we're going to get into that as we go through this. So first of all, we have to control the calories. We have to know roughly what's coming in. And these foundations are the first two things that I teach my clients in the coaching program. And people say, well, why are you giving everything away that you do in the coaching program for free? I'll tell you why, because most people won't do it. One, they won't do it. And two, if they do it, they won't do it consistently and they won't do it long enough for it to obtain the result. Okay, so we've got to get into a calorie deficit where you burn more than you take in. Okay, and we do that two ways, either reducing calories and increasing exercise, so the calories burn, or a combination of both, really. There's the first thing, calorie deficit. The second part of the puzzle in setting the foundations is movement, exercise. Okay, now think about this scenario. Let's say you went to the gym every single day, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes. They focus on the calories burnt in an exercise session. Now, believe it or not, you shouldn't go to the gym, or you shouldn't go for a run, or go on the spin bike, or do an exercise class, or go swimming, or whatever, to burn calories. You will burn calories doing that, but that's not what you should do it for. Okay, it's a byproduct of that activity. You should go to the gym to get strong, build muscle, improve your health, fitness, get powerful, get faster, all these different things that we know about health and fitness. Go for that. The byproduct of that is that you'll burn calories. And guess what? Let's say you go to the gym 1 hour a day, every day of the week. There's another 23 hours of the day. So 85 to 90% of your metabolism, the calories you burn and the energy you generate over the day, is going to be burnt and used in the time when you're not at the gym. So I want you to think about that, get your head around that. Forget the calories that you burn in the gym or in your exercise session. It's not that much. If your Fitbit or your watch or something, your Apple Watch says you burn 400 calories, you can probably put that in half. They grossly over-exaggerate the amount of calories burned. So forget the calories you're burning there, but focus on more of the other 23 hours. Well, let's call it 15 hours if you take away 6 to 8 hours for sleep. Okay, those other hours when you're awake. So the second thing I get my clients to focus on is get your step count up. Okay, and we want to increase what we call NEAT, N-E-A-T, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. These are the calories you burn when you're not at the gym, playing with the kids, walking the dog, doing the shopping, cleaning the garage, all the things that we do in normal life. Those 20 calories, 50 calories, 100 calories that all add up at the end of the week and can really help to increase that deficit. Remember, what we're trying to do is burn as many calories without perceived effort, because a lot of clients come into my program that maybe not worked out for a year, 5 years, maybe even a couple of decades. It's very hard for them to get their head around going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. But if we can maybe do a couple of sessions or even once at the gym, but increase their step count, they can burn a lot of calories, get that metabolism working. And when they combine that with controlling their calories, that's when we start to see lots of weight come off the body. Okay, so calorie deficit and increased step count. They're the first two things we want to look at. And that's setting the foundations. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Right, is anyone else in the comments want to drop a question? If anyone's got any questions, or if you want to know anything about what we've talked about and then we're going to cover, and if you're in there, just say hi, let me know where you're coming in from. A couple of people coming in. Anyone for anyone? There's Tim. All right, guys, so we're talking about this setting the foundations, and we're going to look at all the points as well. But if anyone at any time wants to actually speak to me, I'd like to go to this. I'm going to drop this in periodically throughout the presentation. I would like to offer you a free 15-minute, what I call body diagnostics call. Okay, and this is not a sales call, so put your credit card away. I'm not going to sell anything on this call, purely value. So go to gavgillibrand.com/apply, book a free call. This is how it all starts, and there's no obligation to anything. I promise you, we'll look at where you're at, how much you weigh, how much you want to lose, what's stopping you, what are the obstacles, and I'll give you a couple of really good tips on how to get things moving. And we'll go into depth on how the calorie deficit works and how we get the step count up. And I'll show you exactly what I do with my clients. Okay, so there's an option. Book a call if you want, gavgillibrand.com/apply. Right. All right, we've got Drew coming in. Hi, Drew. How you doing, my friend? Let me know where you're typing away in, Drew. Right. So back to number 2. We've looked at the foundation. Let's look at the other areas. So we looked at setting the foundations, calorie deficit, get the step count up. Now, those two are what I call the mechanical side of losing body fat. The mechanical side of losing body fat, and that's the skill set. Okay. As I said, the skill set required to lose body fat is very, very simple. You can teach that to someone in 5 minutes, just like I have now. Okay. If it was that simple, why isn't everyone getting great results? Why isn't everyone sitting there with a perfect six-pack or a flat stomach or a small bum or whatever your goal is? Because there's 2 parts of fat loss. There's the skill set and there's the mindset. The mechanical side and the psychological part. And this is the bit that really holds most people back. And building a bulletproof mindset around losing body fat is very, very tricky, because most of my clients that come into the program, they've struggled with their weight. And generally, not always, but generally most people that struggle with their weight, they've tried many things before. They don't believe that they can lose weight. They've had many knockbacks. They've tried things. Their self-esteem has taken a hit. They've definitely lost confidence. They've lost self-esteem. They've constantly self-sabotaging. So there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs around weight loss, whether they deserve it. Is this going to work for me? So that's what holds people back. So building a bulletproof mindset around this program is, 1, understanding the mechanical side of this, calorie deficit and getting step counts up. Yeah, there's a very well understanding that. Information is one thing, but how do we put it into practice? How do we build that discipline when we don't feel motivated? How do we get back on the horse when it feels like this is not going to work? How do we trust the process? How do we trust ourselves? That's the key. And how do we not quit when other people around us are saying this is not going to work, and you've got that nagging little voice in your head constantly saying, I don't deserve this? Okay, so a big part of overcoming the barriers of fat loss is getting people to focus on the psychology and their strong mind and building a bulletproof mindset. So we can have setting the foundations, we can look at the mechanical side all day long. And we absolutely have to have that for the needle to move forward in terms of burning body fat. But none of that will work. It's a bit like chicken and an egg, because you can have the strongest mindset in the world, but if you're not following a plan where you're in a calorie deficit consistently, you're not going to lose body fat. You can be in a calorie deficit, but if you're only doing it 2 days out of 7 and you stop, start, and don't really believe it's going to work, and you haven't got the grit and the fortitude to get back on the horse when you think you've failed, it's not going to work. So those first 2 parts are absolutely essential if you want to lose 30 pounds, build muscle and feel fantastic. So setting foundations, strong mindset. All right. Excuse me. A few people are popping in. I can see you there. Remember, guys, if you've got any questions throughout the whole of this, by all means, listen to what I'm saying. But if you've got any questions on any fitness-related topic, fat loss, building muscle, burning body fat, staying in shape, drop it into the comment. And if I see it, I'll bring it up on the screen and we'll discuss it. All right, so before we get into sleep, let me show you this. A lot of people say, well, what results you've got. It's all very well you saying how amazing you are and you're talking about your program, but let's look at some of the results I've got in the last couple of years. And there's lots more on my website, garybrand.com. Then we see Mike lost 22 pounds. It looks a lot more than 22 pounds in 12 weeks. Some of my best testimonials here. Steve, 38 pounds in 12 weeks. What a fantastic result that was. Robin lost 37. Mark lost 33. Matt lost 30. Duncan lost 28, all in 12 weeks. And then we just go on and on and on with the videos. 29, 30, 60 pounds. That was actually done over 6 months. 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 30 pounds, 24, 21, 32, 32, 28, 42, and so on and so on. All right. We've got a question. Mark. Okay, I'm going to put your question up onto the screen. Here we go, Mark. Mark has said, I have a problem with calories, being I work in hospitals, need to start putting my meals together before I go to work. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I guess when you say you work in hospitals, is it just food in the canteen, Mark, or in a vending machine or something you can grab? Absolutely. There's going to be no way of tracking those. So I would actually got a client in the group at the moment, coming up to 20 pounds down. He's a doctor and very similar position. Are you a doctor, Mark? I'm not sure. Anyway, he's a doctor and at least has an idea, at least can, takes a couple of meals with him on shift, and then he can control what he can control. Otherwise, if you're at the mercy, you've got no control. So, yeah. All right, we're going to go back to point 3. Here we are. So we've covered setting the foundations. We've covered the psychology. We're going to look at sleep, stress management, sex and testosterone. I'm not going to cover too much on this, but I'm going to look at a few great ideas. And sleep, it's not just a time machine to breakfast, unfortunately. In fact, if we were to look at, there's 3 pillars of health, and it's nutrition, exercise and sleep, and I don't actually believe that to be true. I believe that sleep is the base, the foundation, and then nutrition and exercise. And the irony is, a lot of people come into the program, they're very, very stressed. They say, what is the best thing they can do to reduce stress? I say, well, let's look at your sleep. And what's the best way to boost testosterone? Well, let's look at your sleep. What's the best way to start the body fat burning process? Let's look at your sleep. The most important aspect of our health as a human being is focusing on sleep. And it's weird because it's the one thing where we don't do anything, but there's so many processes going on. Now, you all know, I think everyone on the planet knows how important sleep is. Most people aren't getting the deep restorative sleep that we need. So what we need to focus on is quality over quantity. It's far better to get 6 hours of quality sleep than 8 hours of lying in bed and saying you get sleep. So how do we get good sleep? Well, the best way to get great sleep starts with what I call a ritual 2 hours before. Already the activities and the mindset and the things you do during the day are going to create how you sleep. For example, if you're a poor sleeper, we certainly look out for avoiding coffee too late in the day. We'll get into that in a second. We want to look at what we're eating. We want to look at what we're consuming in terms of scrolling on our phone, looking at a laptop, watching TV, any blue light can affect our melatonin. So the habits, if your sleep is poor, it's because of the things that are going on in the rest of your life. You're not just a poor sleeper. There's a reason you're a poor sleeper. People say, oh, I just sleep badly. I've always done that. That's bollocks. It's just not true. There's a reason that you're not sleeping well. Okay, so we need to look at what's going on during the day. I get my clients to look at what I call a sleep ritual. So let's say you decide to go to bed at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever, pick your time. Let's say it's 11 p.m. The first thing that, if someone was a bad sleeper and they weren't sleeping very well, the first thing I would ask them to do is to and ideally have no screen time 2 hours before they go to bed. But you can't, for most people, you can't start with that. So we would say take it back to 10 o'clock. So lights out at 11, by 10 p.m, phone goes off or certainly goes down, laptop comes down, TV goes off, and you start getting ready for bed, winding down, maybe reading a book, maybe going in the shower, prepping the food the next day is a great way of winding down, dim the lights. All these things are going to be conducive to creating good sleep. That's the first thing we look at. Then we want to look at some of the habits during the day. Getting the best night's sleep can really be affected by sunlight during the day. Good amount of sunlight into the eyes helps to set your circadian rhythm, which is just our natural internal body clock. Exercise during the day actually helps sleep quality. And as I mentioned before, avoiding coffee. Now, caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, which means half of the caffeine will still be in your blood 5 to 6 hours later. So if you have a strong espresso at 6 p.m, come 11 o'clock, half of that caffeine is still going to be in your bloodstream. For most people that aren't sleeping well, that's going to cause a problem. That will cause a problem. You might get to sleep, but it's going to wake up early in the middle of the night. If you find yourself waking up frequently during the night, you need to look at your habits during the day. Now, that's coffee. Alcohol. The irony is most people, unless you're an alcoholic, tend to reserve the time they drink alcohol after dinner or with dinner, 7 p.m. onwards. Okay, and that's not to say people don't drink during the day, but generally, if you're going to have a drink, it tends to be in the evening. And this is obviously the worst time because it's going to interfere with your sleep. Just one drink is enough to wreck someone's sleep this bad. Yet we still do it. I know I do it all the time. 2 or 3 drinks, it's Friday night, had some nice food, have a couple of drinks, bottle of wine, sleep like shit. But if you're habitually a very, very bad sleeper, alcohol at least 3 hours before your lights go out would be the best way to avoid that. Okay? So we touched on coffee, we touched on alcohol, mentioned the blue screen. Artificial light, including your TV, laptop, phone, scrolling the gram, scrolling through the shit on Twitter, all the stuff that we do. And most people, the phone is the last thing they see before they go to bed. Technology. They call it a smartphone. It's the bloody idiot phone. It's good, but it's not doing our health any favors. Screen time off, because what the artificial light does, it affects the production of melatonin. Now, melatonin is a hormone, sleep hormone that is produced in the pineal gland, which is right in the center of the brain there. And this is switched on when we see dark. When it starts to get darker, body thinks, it's time to go to bed. So it releases this melatonin in the pineal gland, get sleepy. Now, what the artificial light does, it just interferes with that, especially if we're lying in bed. The worst thing you can do is scrolling. You know, that blue light's coming into your brain. It's going to stop that production of melatonin. So again, these are things that you don't have to do, but if you're a bad sleeper, it's definitely worth looking at. So screen time, coffee, alcohol. Let's talk about food. Eating a meal within an hour before going to bed won't affect your weight gain or weight loss because we know that it's total calories. Okay, so timing of food is irrelevant for fat loss, but timing of food can absolutely have an effect on the quality of your sleep for most people. Because what happens when you eat food, your metabolic rate goes up, you're going to generate energy, you're going to increase the heat, and the worst thing you can do for getting quality sleep is to raise your body temperature. We want to keep our body cool. And also, if your body's digesting this or trying to digest this massive meal that you've consumed, you know, you're sweating in bed, you've got this big bloated stomach. So we want to keep food at least, again, 2 or 3 hours before we go to bed. So if you're eating at 7, maybe 8 o'clock, and don't have anything to eat for a good 2 or 3 hours before bed, and try not to overeat in the evening. That's going to be the key to great sleep. Okay, that's not to say you know, again, we tend to have our biggest meals before we go to bed, so it can be a problem. And I'm not saying don't eat lots of food in the evening. I'm just saying if you value your sleep and it's affecting your sleep, then you want to be keeping an eye on that. Like I said, sleep is a topic that we could talk for hours on. I'm just trying to touch on some of the areas that we would focus on with my clients. All right. Anyone for any questions? I see a few of you popping in. Let me know where you are. Put your hand up in the chat. And just quickly, guys, if any of you want more of this actually in your hand, I've got a PDF, a cheat sheet that covers all of this. And it's the 5 unknown weight loss hacks for busy men that want to build muscle, burn fat, optimize their hormones, how to get older. So if you want a free copy, email me. Drop me a line, hello@gavgillibrand.com, and I will send you the PDF. I guess it's the more advanced version of what we're talking about now, which is the 5 areas of the fat loss code that I teach in my program. So if you want a copy, just email me, gavgillibrand.com. All right, guys, back to our next point. So we covered setting the foundations. That was calorie deficit, getting the step count up. We looked at the psychology of body fat, losing body fat. We looked at sleep. Let's look at stress management, and then on to sex and testosterone. And we'll wrap this up in about 15 minutes. So stress management. Now, a lot of people get confused when they come into my program, or certainly the questions that I get sent on a daily basis. People say, oh, when I'm stressed, stress makes me put fat on. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't directly make you gain weight, and it won't directly make you lose weight. But what it does do, what it can do, it can affect behavior. So some people, when they get very, very stressed, they tend to overeat, and guess what? They tend to put weight on. Some people, when they get stressed, it tends to curb their appetite, and guess what? They lose weight. So it wasn't the stress itself. It wasn't the hormonal response from the stress that made them gain weight or lose weight. It was the behavior that was dictated by the stress itself. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it makes sense there, guys. So if you're stressed, you may lose weight, you may gain weight, you may not make any changes at all. Okay? So it really depends on how you deal with it. Stress is such a huge topic. But I want to talk about one thing that you can do in the moment to directly relieve stress. And this has been proven. This is not some woo-woo out there. This is actually, I learned this from a guy called Andrew Huberman, which some of you will have heard of. And he's got a brilliant podcast. Best to check him out on YouTube, Huberman Podcast. And he talks about a technique called the physiological sigh. Okay, this is a great technique in the moment when you're feeling stress, acute. We're not talking about long-term stress, about, you know, maybe going for a sauna or a massage or meditation or yoga, which are fantastic ways to reduce long-term stress. We're talking about chronic stress. We're talking about acute stress in the moment. You feel that fight or flight. You feel nervous. You know, you're shaking. Your palms are sweaty. You get butterflies. You feel stressed. You're agitated in the moment. What can you do? Called the physiological sigh. This is what you do. You do 2 sharp inhales, like a double inhale, and then a long exhale, and that is it. I'm going to demonstrate it. Here we go. You go. Simple as that. And what that does, it smashes the air into your lungs, inflates the tiny little sacs in the lungs, reduces the cortisol, reduces your blood pressure, and that exhale lets it all out. And it really is that simple. It really is that simple. Google Andrew Huberman and look at the physiological sigh. And it's a very, very potent technique of reducing stress in the moment. So look, I'm not going to cover too much more on stress because it's such a big topic, but I want you to take away the physiological sigh for acute stress in the moment, and to not buy into the notion that stress is making you lose weight or making you gain weight. I get that all the time. You know, I was stressed, so I put loads of weight on. Stress may make you hungrier, may make you eat more, and it was that overconsumption of calories that made you put weight on, but it wasn't actually the stress. All right, On to the fifth and final area we're going to focus on: sex and testosterone. Okay, so we'll go reverse order. We'll look at testosterone. What are the things you can do to boost testosterone? Again, it's a bit like chicken and egg, because one of the best things you can do to boost your testosterone is have more sex. But when your testosterone is low, the last thing you want to do is have sex. So how do we boost your testosterone, get you to have more sex in your relationship, if that's something you're looking for? The first thing we want to look at is your nutrition. Okay. In fact, losing body fat is one of the best ways to boost nutrition. But what can you actually do when it comes to eating food? What do you want to be aiming for? Okay. And this is a change here, but we want to have a diet that's rich in protein and saturated fats. Now, saturated fats have had a bad rap over the years. Turns out they're not that bad for the heart that we were led to believe. You know, for years in the 80s and the 90s, even early 2000s, we were taught that eating fat actually made us fat, and it turns out not to be the case. It's overconsumption of any of the calories that will make you gain body fat. So you want to have a good amount of saturated fat in your diet. One of the other things we can do is lift weights, heavy weights. Every time you lift weights, you're going to get a slight increase in your testosterone. Okay, and this feeds back into sleep and stress. When you get good quality sleep, it's one of the best things for increasing your levels of testosterone. When you reduce stress, it's one of the best things for increasing your levels of testosterone. Okay, now this is a game changer for many men. Often what the reality is, we're losing a little bit of muscle mass as a man, and our testosterone tends to go down. So one, we've got to keep fit and healthy, get a good amount of cardio, weight training, focus on our sleep, focus on our stress. All these things help increase our testosterone. Now, what happens often is that many men stop producing testosterone. Not entirely, but they go into a dangerous level where they've got low testosterone, and they could benefit from having TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying you should go and do this. If you feel like you're suffering from low testosterone, is get a blood test. Get a simple blood test, and the blood test will tell you. And it could just be a case of get to the gym, lift some weights, start shifting a bit of weight, get to bed on time. All these things we've talked about, those 5 areas, setting the foundations, building a bulletproof mindset, sleep, stress management, they're all going to help towards boosting your testosterone levels and increasing your sex drive and sex hormones in your body. And why is this important? Because it's going to help you build muscle, burn body fat. And again, it's the opposite of a vicious cycle. It's this almost like this positive cycle. As you do all of these things, your testosterone levels are going to go up. Your sex drive is going to go up. You're going to be more motivated to get to the gym. You're going to help to build you more muscle, help to burn more body fat. And it's this positive cycle. But if despite doing all of that, you have a blood test and your testosterone level is low, it might be worth looking at TRT. I know several men that have, through my recommendations, have had a blood test, discovered that their testosterone levels were very, very low, and they've been prescribed prescribed testosterone, very, very low level. And it's a game changer. It can change, they can increase a little bit of muscle, they can help to burn body fat, it can really help with the brain fog and the mindset that happens, the foggy mindset that happens when testosterone levels are low. We hear it talked about with women, HRT with women, but not so much with men, because don't get me wrong, taking testosterone is actually a steroid hormone. And injections or cream is actually taking steroids, but we're not doing it at a level that is considered super physiological, which is what bodybuilders and athletes are doing. We're doing it at a level to replace the testosterone in our bodies that we're not making. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to go and do this. If you think your testosterone is low, please get a blood test, speak to an endocrinologist, an expert in this field, and they'll recommend the course of action going forward. All right, so just to recap, guys, this is the fat loss code, and there's the 5 main areas that we looked at tonight. So we looked at setting the foundations, which was controlling the calories, getting into a calorie deficit, getting step count up. There's what we call the foundations, the mechanical side of fat loss. It led me into point 2, the strong mind and building a bulletproof mindset. Now, those two go hand in hand. Without the bulletproof mindset, the first two don't work because you won't stick to them. Without the first two, having a bulletproof mindset is irrelevant. So there's the most important two. I would say there's what I call building the cake, baking the cake. Now, the icing on the cake is focusing on sleep, focusing on reducing stress, and boosting testosterone. They're all very, very important, but they're the 5 areas of the fat loss code that I focus on with all my clients, and it's helping them lose, on average, 27 pounds in 12 weeks, and some a lot more. In fact, I've had 3 guys lose over 40 months. I haven't got their testimonials up. We need to add this to the presentation. So, any questions before we wrap this up? Anyone coming on live? Mark said, turns out I have a hell of a lot more to fix than just meals. Mark, give me a shout, my friend. Let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. Oh, Matsky. Is that Matt? Is that Matt Lyons? Is that you, Matt? I'll put your picture up on there. Or is that Matt? Is that the other Matt? I can't think of your surname. Come on, Matsky, tell me. Shit, should remember Matt. Look, if anyone wants to book a chat. Cole! Sorry, dude. I used your presentation, your testimonial a couple of weeks ago. Matsky, I should have recognised it. You didn't have that as your name before. Mr. Cole, how are you, sir? Thanks for the kind words, mate. Thanks for the kind words. Matt lost 27 pounds, if I recall. Just 1 pound short of 2 stone. But look, guys, if you want to have a chat, book your free 15-minute call with me. Like I said, this is not a sales call. This is to get to the bottom of where you're at. We're going to find out where you're at now, where you want to go, what's holding you back. We'll look at the first 2 points. We're going to go over those first 2 points because, look, many people watching this presentation will take it all on board and say, great, there's the information, but where do I start? On that call, I'll show you how to get into a calorie deficit, how we track, how we get our step count up, all those things, and get you moving. Okay? There's no obligation. I'm not going to sell you anything. Some people after this call go on to become a client, but most don't. Okay? Look at that. Tim's saying, book a call with Gav now. He's the real deal. Thank you for that. Yes, Matt, let's have a catch up soon, my friend. Let's have a catch up soon. So look, guys, book a call if you fancy speaking to me. I've covered a lot of information, although I've condensed it into 45 minutes. So we could talk for hours on all of these points, actually. So I've tried to keep it short and sweet. For those that have missed it, I'm going to send out a recording. But if you want to speak to me, book a call. If you want a copy of the cheat sheet, which has those 5 areas in more detail, please email me directly at hello@gavgillibrand.com and I'll send it to you. I'll send the recording out for those that have missed it. Thanks for everyone that's come on. Matt, Tim, everyone else that came on. And you want to catch my website, go to gavgillibrand.com. And this is what I do, guys. Help busy professional men lose 20 to 30 pounds in 12 weeks without eliminating carbs or alcohol so they can perform optimally in the bedroom and the boardroom. All right, guys, I'm out of here. All the best. Give me a call. We'll speak soon. Thank you.